Hey, welcome to this video. I am so glad that you have booked a reading and I am excited to see you and meet you. There are a lot of questions that people have about what can they expect during the reading, and I want to go over that right now for just a couple minutes, okay? First of all, my address for my office is 522 Beltrami Avenue in Bemidji, Minnesota. And you may know that already now since you have booked your reading. But in case you have trouble locating it, we're a light colored, kind of a tan colored building just to the south of RE/MAX and the southeast of the Beltrami County Courthouse courtyard. Or if you're familiar with St. Philip's School and Church, we're about 2 buildings to the south of that. Okay? Anyway, for every reading, I ask that the universal powers of protection join us and that the reading be for the highest good of all involved, whether the people involved are simply mentioned by name or if it's somebody who's a part of the reading. Okay? Know that I set the intention for every reading that the space that we are doing the reading in be kind of a sacred zone for the time that we're together, a judgment-free zone in a very safe place. So the reason I do that is because sensitive things can and will come up. What do I mean by sensitive? So things that, the list that I include, and it can definitely include more than this, but divorce, miscarriages, abortions, sex abuse, rape cases, physical abuse, drug use abuse, any number of sensitive topics. And the reason they come up during a reading is so that we can heal them and move forward. Because Spirit is never going to pour salt into a wound, and they're never going to create a wound. And so if it comes up and it's a sensitive topic, know that it's for the purpose of healing and moving forward. Having a close bond with somebody earthside is not necessary for them to come forward and have a message for you. So the 2 examples I give of this are if Great-Grandma Grace passed away before you were born, you obviously couldn't have a relationship with her. She can still come forward and have messages for you. Or let's say she was alive and the 2 of you hated each other's guts, okay? Excuse me. That's a very real possibility, but know that Spirit side, she's at her best, and the messages that she comes forward and brings with may be very healing for you and maybe just what you need to hear. And so I want you to stay open to those. So just because you didn't have a close bond doesn't mean that it's not a worthy message or that they can't come forward, okay? Spirit is very resourceful, and they may not have a message directly for you, but they may have you deliver a message for them. So an example I have is I had a client whose brother had a best friend that was killed in a car crash when they were 17, okay? And Spirit knew that her brother was holding on to a lot of emotions and energies relating to that crash and that loss. And so he came forward and had messages for her brother, not specifically for her, okay? And so they'll only do that when they know that it's safe to do so and that when it's likely that you'll deliver those messages and provide those statements to them, okay? Questions. If you have questions of Spirit, I want you to ask them because that's what we're here for, right? You want to have some of these things that have been lingering in your mind for a while to be put to ease. And so if you have questions, I want you to ask them during our time together. I'm going to have questions for you, specifically about names and how people passed, because both of those things carry a very particular energy to them. And I'm dealing with energy. That's all I'm working with. And so I'm trying to match those energies with what Spirit is giving me. So I ask about names and I ask how people pass. For instance, if somebody crashes, has a fatal car crash that carries a very different energy to it, that passing carries a very different energy to it than if somebody passes, say, in a hospice setting or in their sleep, okay? Animals can and do come forward. 100% accuracy is not guaranteed. Let me describe it to you like this. This is essentially a hybrid game of Pictionary and charades, and let's just add a little bit of the game of telephone in with it, okay? You and I are on a team doing our best to make sense of the energies and the clues that Spirit is giving us, okay? And so there are things that are not going to make sense during your reading, and you know what? That's okay. There sometimes seems to be a little bit of pressure on people to come up with the answers right now during the reading, and you don't have to. But what I do want you to do is to take notes, because you're going to process this reading for the next few days, weeks, months, maybe even a couple of years, okay? And so it's going to be important to have those notes. And then I'm going to take it a step further and advise you to journal what this reading was like after you've had it. Whether you journal on a normal basis or not, you're going to want that entry. Trust me, you're going to want to go back to that. Excuse me, number one, as things become answered throughout the next year, or several months anyway, as you process this reading, a lot of the questions, a lot of the unknowns from that reading will become clear. And so you're going to want to go back to that journal entry. And then a lot of times it's just for kind of nostalgia to go back and see what it felt like and what that experience was like to have that reading. I don't have any control over who comes forward or what they have to say. Now, with that being said, if there's somebody that you want to hear from specifically, feel free to bring a picture of them. However, don't show it to me until I ask or if I need it, okay? Very rarely does it happen that I need a little boost, but sometimes it does. So if there's somebody that you absolutely want to hear from, bring a picture of them if you can. And I want to step backwards for a minute. As far as the notes go, in my office readings, I provide a pen and a notebook. But if you're doing a group reading or a gallery reading or something like that, you may have to provide your own pen and paper. So just think ahead about that, okay? There are things that you're going to experience that you may be closed off to. And so as the day approaches of your reading, I want you to find yourself opening up a little bit, both in mind and heart. And when you come into the reading, I want you to be open to what is coming your way and open to receiving the messages that belong to you, okay? So you can, the biggest part is so that when you go out of this reading, you can stay in that awareness of the new information and the new keys and the new tools you've gained through that reading to be able to communicate with your loved ones on a whole new level. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I know it hits a lot of the top 10 anyway. I'm just looking at my list to see if there's anything that I missed. I think I will tell you this. When I tune in during readings, I tune in from my third eye chakra, this chakra right here. And all spirit messages come to me from the left or to the left-hand side of my body. Anything that is not a spirit message or what I consider an outside message stays to the right-hand side of my body. And this chakra then kind of serves as a filter, making sure that nothing from the right-hand side crosses to the left-hand side. So what is an outside message? An outside message is something that I already know, that knowledge that I gained through a previous conversation, things that came up in previous readings, kind of pre-existing knowledge is what I would consider an outside message. Additionally to that, my own thoughts, beliefs, etc. stay out of the reading. They're considered an outside message. And so the third eye chakra, this filter here, keeps them at bay, and nothing dilutes or pollutes the message that you get from Spirit. So I look forward to seeing you soon, and we will have a fantastic reading. We'll see you then.